There's only a handful of games remaining in the NBA regular season, but many of those games have massive playoff implications. We're going to talk about two such games on tonight's card. We got the Boston Celtics at the New York Knicks, and we got the Miami Heat at the Toronto Raptors. Let's get right into it. Boston, 54-25 straight up, 26-14 on the road. They are currently sitting in the second seed in the East, and they've got a comfortable 3-game lead on the New York Knicks. Boston has won 4 straight overall. They're coming off a 113-102 win over the Charlotte Hornets, but they're tipping their hand a little bit with tonight's injury report. They've got 4 starters listed as questionable, and that leads me to speculate that they might be throwing in the towel tonight and concentrating on tomorrow's home game against the New Orleans Pelicans. It makes sense. They only need 1 game to clinch that second seed, and tomorrow's game looks like a more favorable spot for the Boston Celtics. Celtics are 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 versus the Knicks, and they're 3-6 straight up in their last 9 versus the Knicks. So it makes sense that they would want to concentrate on tomorrow's game against the Pelicans. Let's talk about the New York Knicks. They're 51-28 straight up, 28-9 at home, a very good home record. Of course, they're third in the Eastern Conference, just a half-game lead over the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they've won 3 straight. They're 10-3 in their last 13 overall. They're 100% healthy. They do have a potential first-round matchup against the Toronto Raptors, but as I mentioned, they're only a half game up on Cleveland, so if they indeed want to play the Raptors in the first round, or hold on to that number 3 seed, they need a win to hold off Cleveland. So a lot more for the Knicks to play for here in this game than the Celtics. New York, 5-0 straight up in their last 5 home games, 4-1 again against the spread in their last 5 home games against the Boston Celtics. The under is 5-1 in the Knicks' last 6 overall. You got to like the Knicks here, laying 4.5 points. If indeed the Celtics are going to rest their starters in this game, it could be a breeze for the New York Knicks. But perhaps the best value on the card here might be player props for Boston's role players. You got to look at who's going to get the minutes if those 4 starters don't actually play. And the prime candidate for me is Peyton Pritchard. They do not currently have lines available as I'm recording this video. Likely they're waiting to see who actually is going to play. But if we could get some solid numbers on Peyton Pritchard, I would be interested. Before we get into the second game, let me tell you what we have going on for the playoffs here at WagerTalk. The best value on the card, I got you covered in the NBA playoffs. There's nobody more consistent than myself. You can see the numbers on the screen. Since 2021, 202, 158, showing a staggering profit of 64 units in the NBA playoffs. I'm coming into tonight's games on a perfect 8-0 run with my last 8 NBA picks for clients, 10-1 with my last 11 picks for clients, and I've got a 5% play available on my page at WagerTalk right now. You're going to want to get that. But the big news is I'm teaming up with my man, Ben Burns. Who's Ben Burns? Well, he's also all over the leaderboards with NBA, and he's the #1 basketball handicapper all time on the WagerTalk network. He's up 323 units all time with his basketball plays, and with his big plays in the NBA, up 160 units all time with those 4% and 5% plays. You'll see both of us on the leaderboards, but the only place you can get this deal is at picksandparlays.net. Check out Ben's page. Check out my page over at Picks and Parlays, and that's the only place you can get this deal. You're going to want to lock that up as soon as you can. Now let's get back into the video. Let's talk about that second game. We got the Miami Heat coming in with a 41-38 straight up record, but they're just 16-23 on the road, and they're currently sitting in the 10th seed in the play-in, a game and a half back of Charlotte and 2 games back of Philadelphia. So technically they could move up as far as seeding goes in the play-in, but I think it's most likely, and I think everybody expects this team's going to have to win back-to-back road games to qualify for the first round of the playoffs. And this team just does not look like a team that wants to be involved in the playoffs at this point. They're 3-9 straight up in their last 12 games overall. They rank 22nd in the NBA in scoring defense, giving up 118.5 points per game. Miami is 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 against Toronto, and they're 1-5 straight up in their last 6 road games. They're 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 at Toronto, and they're coming off a 121-95 loss at Toronto in their last game. So this is the second game of a back-to-back set in Toronto. And I'm not loving the chances for Miami. Normally, when two teams play back-to-back games in the same city, I do like the loser of game one to come back in game two. But when you've got playoff seeding on the line, I think that strategy has to go out the window. Toronto's 44-35 straight up, 22-17 at home. They're sitting in the 6th seed, but they're just half a game behind the Atlanta Hawks, and they're just a half a game up on the Orlando Magic, who are currently in the 7th seed in the play-in. Toronto cannot afford to lose this game. This is an absolute must-win game for the Toronto Raptors, and they're 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 home games. This is a first game of a back-to-back for both these teams. Toronto's game tomorrow will be at the New York Knicks. I think Toronto wants to go all in for this game rather than resting any starters for tomorrow's game in New York. So I like the Toronto Raptors -4. And so that's to sum it up. We've got the Raptors -4. We've got the Knicks -4.5. And we're looking at Peyton Pritchard's player props as soon as they come available. If we could get him in the 14.5 point range, I would be interested in going over Peyton Pritchard's points. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you've got anything to say to me, even if it's nasty, hit me up in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.